YouTube. Now, if you watched my last video, you would have seen me like the old Severe 123R, old school vintage brass self-pressurizing stove. What we're going to do is going to have a quick comparison and compare to the MSR stoves. So we're going to do 3 videos here. So you kind of look in Model T Ford, fix it on the side of the road, doesn't plug into the internet, no Bluetooth, no Wi-Fi. Okay, jumping up, MSR stoves. They've been around for quite a long time. You know, for instance, this guy here, I think I worked out is about 22 years old. I've had that. These are more complicated. They're definitely a little bit more Formula One. You need to maintain them. You need to know what you're doing, and sort of tricks and things to look at. So what we'll do is we will look at this guy here. We'll put these ones aside, by the way, and we'll look at this beast. This is an MSR Whisperlight International. This is like the original version that they did. I've had to replace the pump on it. This is the new generation of pump, latest generation of pump, because the original pump I had, the actual plastic piece around here broke eventually. It's not bad for 20 odd years use, isn't it? It's doing well. Most people throw their cars away by then. So this is the international model. As I said, they just did a standard Whisperlight, which only ran on unleaded petrol and white gas. This one, or we call it, in New Zealand we call it white spirits. Over here it's actually slightly different stuff in the UK, but people are also running these on the new Aspen, which is the new like eco fuel that they're using for chainsaws and stuff now. I think it's coming, and you have to actually use it because of emissions and the like, so you can still use it on that as well. So what made the International different from the standard Whisperlight is the International could run on kerosene as well, so it came with a secondary jet, so you can just undo the jet, put a second jet in, and it would run kerosene and lots of other things. I mean, when I first got this, we tried to run all sorts of shit through it, including vodka, so high octane alcohol will kind of burn in here very, very badly, but it will burn in a pinch from there. So all these MSR stoves are very similar. They have these remote fuel tanks, so the kind of the advantage with that is they pack down a lot smaller. This will fold up basically to these legs here, fold into the one side, into here, then you hook this tube around it, so it's quite compact. Comes in a bag about this size. This is the old bag I had in it. It's had 15 better days. I'll focus. There you go. And so, unlike the old Severe we would have seen before, which is self-pressurizing, these ones you have to pressurize. So on a full tank, you use the plunger. 20 pumps of the plunger. In theory, you should pressurize a full tank. I think this is about 650ml tank. Easily get a week out of that, maybe a bit more depending on what you're doing. In winter time, probably about 5 days with a bit of snow melting and the like. So you pressurize this up. You still need to preheat it, so you still need to have it hot enough so that with the fuel coming in, the fuel line will vaporize through this little generator tube when it comes up on the top. Okay, so the advantage of this though is because you pumped it up, the fuel's now pressurized. So what we're going to do, we'll give it a light. So you need to open the valve. This is the bit. Now I've done this in this is a new pump, so it'll be interesting to see how well this works. It's a bit tight. Oh, not getting anything. What's going on? Not getting any fuel through. Oh, there we go. It's coming. It's coming. There we go. Turn that off. Oh, so you can see, I should just be able to see this fuel in the bottom of that cup there. See the fuel? Right. Turn the old butane on. Right. So we light the fuel. There we go. So all that's doing is just basically getting the the generator tube up to temperature. Now you can, if you're really clever, I can do this into a vestibule of a tent. A lot of people start to get a little bit nervous. What I usually do with this is I usually stick my pot on top, because that will obviously stop the flames from kicking out the side. But best to do this outside of your tent. Yeah, it's not the safest of things to be doing in an island tent, but with a bit of practice people do it. As you can see, it's going to be sooty and smelly. That's probably the thing that people complain about. If you've got only used a gas cooker and you go into this sort of thing, there is that it is a bit smelly. You're basically, you're using liquid fuel, so it's going to be a little bit more nasty. So I wouldn't really be using this too much in your vestibule tent, because there's probably a lot of additives and stuff depending on which fuel you're using. It's probably not going to be best for your health. Now you probably can't hear it, it gets a bit of a whistle going on, which basically means that ready, it's starting to vaporize properly. So it changes the flame. There we go. Voila, done. Okay, whacking. So this one here, you can hear it. It's fairly quiet. And what you would then do is, then you put a bit more. I won't bother really do too much. You put a few more pumps into here. I haven't got much fuel in this bottle, so she's okay. Put more 4 pumps in, because you've used a bit of a pressure there to get it started. There we go. So the whisper light is quite quiet, because it's unlike we look at these two over here. These are 2 plate burners, which you would have heard this one before. They're a bit noisy, the plate burners. This is more like has a spreader cap inside. That means you can get this. You can see that the flames are coming out the side here. Those little grooves. So see, it's starting to defrost the table. So these do put out a lot of heat. Now the only downside with this particular model is it's a bastard to simmer. You can get it to simmer. It takes a lot of dicking around to get it to do that. So don't expect that you're going to be simmering your little, your angel hair noodles. Just very, very hard to do. It takes lots and lots of practice. Essentially, because there's such a delay from here, because the fuel line's so long, you turn in this guy, and then 10 seconds later the stove reacts. So you kind of like backwards and forwards trying to get it just right. The other things to do is to run less pressure in the actual fuel bottle. So you can do that either by preheating with something other than the fuel from the tank. So maybe use a bit of methylated spirits, do it that way. Just run this with less than 20 pumps on a full tank, and that would mean there'd be less pressure pushing it through. Or you can then just funnel it backwards and forwards. So you can simmer on it. It's just not very successful, and you need to have lots of practice to do it. As I said, this is a very old cook. I've had this 20 odd years. It's been all over the world. I've used it in New Zealand. It went to Nepal with me. I've used it, I used it in Switzerland, the UK. It's been a great cooker. The advantage with it is obviously you can get fuel just about anywhere. So if you, even in your vehicle, you can pull the fuel out and use it then. It's reasonably compact. It's not the lightest thing, but with this, how I look at it is I'm going to go and use it somewhere cold, or somewhere where I'm going to be carrying a whole lot of extra crap anyway. So it's neither here nor there for weight wise. It's about 400 and something grams all up, not including this fuel bottle. The other advantage is you can get different size fuel bottles. You've got a smaller fuel bottle, so if you're going for a shorter period of time, for just a weekend, you can go with a half size bottle. The fuel pump is only so long inside, so you can only get such a small bottle. But you get a small bottle, means you don't have to carry so much fuel with you. Yeah, this has been my fallback fuel, my stove for all those years, and I've supplemented it with a little bit of a like the screw-on top gas canister stoves. But this is where every time I hit the snow, go snow caving, hit the mountains, then I know that I want reliability and it's going to be real cold, or I'm mounting a lot of snow. This is the way to go. It's pretty works pretty irrelevant of the temperature. It just makes it a little bit harder to preheat essentially. These are only going to start to struggle down into the negative 30s and 40s. Not sure whether it's still what goes on now, but MSA used to do an extreme cold weather kit, which is a different type of O-ring and seals and stuff, because obviously as it gets cold those seals are starting to get less pliable, so they get a lot stiffer, so you get issues with that. So I'm not too sure whether they still do that now or they just come standard with these new pumps, so it'd be interesting to see. So yeah, so pros and cons. Reliable if you maintain it, okay. It will burn all these different fuels, it puts out shed loads of heat, great for melting snow, not very good if you want to simmer it. So the cons are bugger to simmer, not the lightest compared to a gas stove, but this will work when a gas stove is completely a waste of time. And also you need to maintain it and you need to know how to light it. With the old gas stove you can pretty much throw it to any 2-year-old and he'll be able to light it. This thing here, you can end up turning yourself into a crusty burnt mess if you're not careful. A lot of people complain about, oh, it flares up. Never really had any problem with flaring up because I light it properly. You need to make sure it's hot enough. I've never really had any problems when I'm just cooking away. Oh, it flares up. Usually it's when you've lit it and you've not let it heat up properly, or if it's really cold and you're struggling to get it to light. The other problem people have is they don't maintain it. You know, you're not greasing your pump cup, you're not making sure your seals are right. Like once a year you should really give it a look. The other thing is when you pumped it up, turned it on, before you turn it on, pump it up and have a look and see if you've got any leaks. It's another common thing, people pump it up, light it, and then they get a big fireball and then it's all over. So it's just common sense, making sure that you've got no leaks, just running your fingers underneath, look for any leaks. Seems to be good, crack on. Okay. Recommend it? Hell yeah, great cooker. I've cooked massive amounts of food in this. I put big pots on it. I remember did a trip and we had about 10-15 people with us, and it was actually through a company. It was a outdoor gear company that made clothing and stuff, and they'd hired a outfitters to take us out, and we got to wear their clothing and the like. But what they did is that they only had gas cookers, and they're trying to cook this massive pot of pasta. It's a decent sized pot. They just couldn't get it to boil. I just said, get out of the way, put this thing underneath it. It was boiling in no time. It basically led everybody else's cooker look pretty pathetic. So yeah, I would recommend it. It's a bit of an investment. These are about around about 120 quid, I think, thereabouts. And I've just brought out a new version of this, which has the different legs. The legs are not these wire legs anymore. They're a little, almost like the legs you get on a top of a gas cooker. They're all pressed steel. They're packed down a bit smaller, and a little bit better to get back together. So probably just the other note is obviously also maintaining that you clean it. With this particular one, let's just turn it off. Oh, he's doing it one-handed. Which way does it go? This pump is so much different than my old one. Nope, the other way. My old one-handed, it was really old school. It was the original pump that came with it, so I think it was a 2nd generation pump. This is like the 4th generation I think they've got now. So that's turned off. You can see it's still burning. It hasn't gone out yet. It's still burning all that fuel in here. So it takes some time to turn itself off. Alright, so as I said, maintenance, obviously checking all your O-rings, make sure everything works, nothing's cracked, nothing's leaking, nothing's gone hard. But also with this particular one, it has a weighted shaker jet. So if you're using it with pretty dodgy fuel, it's got a lot of additives or shit in it, it's going to block up that valve in there. So the beauty with this one is it's got a little, you can almost hear it, you shake it up and down, it's got a little weighted shaker in there with a needle on it that goes through the valve. That's the other thing to do. If you're using it, generally I use it with white spirits, with white gas. So it's not really a problem with the quality of the fuel. But if you're using unleaded, it will get clogged. So you have to make sure that that stays clear. But And also with this one here, there's actually a metal, like a wire that goes down the fuel line all the way into here, and so every now and again it's got to be able to pull that out and move it, and just basically pull it in and out of it because it gets rid of all the crap in the fuel line. So generally, I've never had this not work on me. I've never had any issues with it stopping or clogging. It's because I maintain it. Take it apart every year, get a maintenance kit, change the O-rings just to be sure, and then you're not going to have any trouble when you get to take it out and use it. Alright guys, so that's the MSR International. It used to be called the MSR International 600 minute. It's international, so that's white gas, unleaded fuel, and also kerosene once you change the valve. Alright, so hopefully that's enlightened you. This, as I said, is a really old stove. Good piece of kit, really like it. So any questions fire away in the comments box. Remember to subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Cheers guys.